We begin with the words from 2 Timothy chapter 4. I am already poured out like a libation. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. This is Paul speaking at the end of his life, acknowledging past heartache, a life well lived, and his accomplishments and blessings. In Mom's courageous last days, she echoed this sentiment many times. No regrets, she would say. Let's get this show on the road. Sorry, I knew I'd cry. So greetings and thank you for coming today to honor a very special lady, my mom. Maya Angelou once wrote that people will forget what you said, what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. My mom was one of those people who always made you feel loved and welcomed and valued. So on behalf of my mom, myself, and my children, I would like to thank the caregivers, nurses, and doctors who cared for Mom in the final stages of her life. May they be nourished daily with strength, courage, and grace as they serve the vulnerable, the sick, and the dying. A thank you to the table ladies at Parkland. She made some wonderful new friends there and found a renewed purpose in helping others. To her longtime friends, Dick and Pinky in Florida, you shared the anguish of losing a child and forged a friendship like no other. You were her safe harbor and her partners in crime. Thank you to Pam and the Benton family and my cousin Kathleen, who were especially dear to Mom and were always steadfast in their love and support. For her grandchildren and my son-in-law, who are an important part of her daily life and walked faithfully through her illness, may they continue to be inspired by her love and spirit. And for all those present today, be you loving family or friends, your support is appreciated. You brought light and comfort to our family.
Remember Me by Margaret Mead. To the living I am gone, to the sorrowful I will never return, to the angry I was cheated, but to the happy I am at peace, and to the faithful I never left. I cannot be seen, but I can be heard. So as you stand upon a shore, gazing at a beautiful sea, remember me. As you look in awe at a mighty forest and its grand majesty, remember me. As you look upon a flower and admire its simplicity, remember me. Remember me in your heart, your thoughts, your memories of the times we loved, the times we cried, the times we fought, the times we laughed. For if you always think of me, I will never be gone.
Everybody, thank you for coming. My mom asked my grand on her last day what she was thinking about, and she shared with us this song that was stuck in her head that she was singing over and over. She recited the words first, speaking them clearly and not forgetting one. I quickly looked it up on my phone, as we do now, and I grabbed the song and cued it for her to listen. She grabbed my phone with her hand and held it up to her face so she could hear it. She began to sing along with the song and told us that she grew up with the song. They used to sing it over and over when she was a kid. She said some stayed with her, some did not, but this one sure did. She remembered every word. She listened very intently, smiling now and then. The men of Ireland would be sent to New York for promises of streets paved with gold, and many opportunities, and sadly, it was just an Irishman's dream. I want to say to my grand, I love you, I miss you, and thanks for being best friend.
'Twas just the other night. Oh, you never saw the likes of it. 'Twas such a pleasing sight. I was happy for a moment, but now I'm feeling blue. For what I saw, I'll see no more. 'Twas too good to be true. Oh, the shamrocks are blooming on Broadway. Every girl's an Irish colleen, and the streets of New York are the county of Cork. All the buildings are painted green. Sure, the Hudson looks just like the Shannon. Oh, how good and how real it did seem. I could hear mother singing, the sweet Shandon bells ringing. 'Twas only an Irishman's dream. Oh, you never know the sights you miss until you're far away. Oh, you'll never know what homeland means till you're away to stay. And you welcome each reminder of the places that you miss. In all the world I'll never see another sight like this. Oh, the shamrocks are blooming on Broadway. Every girl's an Irish colleen, and the streets of New York are the county of Cork. All the buildings are painted green. Sure, the Hudson looks just like the Shannon. Oh, how good and how real it did seem. I could hear mother singing, the sweet Shandon bells ringing. 'Twas only an Irishman's dream. All the shamrocks are blooming on Broadway. Every girl's an Irish colleen, and the streets of New York are the county of Cork. All the buildings are painted green. Sure, the Hudson looks just like the Shannon. Oh, how good and how real it did seem. I could hear mother singing, the sweet Shandon bells ringing. 'Twas only an Irishman's dream.
I'm Pam Pekka, and for most of my life I was fortunate enough to live next to Auntie May. And I had a visit with her last Monday, and I thought it could possibly be my last, and I wanted to be able to share with her what she meant to me. So it was pretty much like this. I thought I'll be blubbering, blinked on my glasses that I couldn't see. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to write it down and I'm going to read it to you so that you get to hear it because you deserve to. So I'm going to try today, and this is the letter, but it was for me, but it's for all of you to hear as well. So I started off by saying, Auntie May, thanks for seeing me today. I selfishly had to see you. Although I know, or knew, I would never be able to tell you without blubbering and making it difficult for you and everyone else. It would be enough for me to just sit here, hoping that you can feel the love pouring from me. Without a doubt, you have been the most influential person in my life next to my own mom. You have known me since my beginnings. Although I can't remember, but I'm sure you were there to welcome me home when I came into the world. There are so many memories I have from my childhood of you. One of my favorites, I think, is we talked about it once when you took Colleen and me to Yorkdale shopping on Saturdays. I was so thrilled just to get to Yorkdale. And we could shop, and we would try on hats till they threw us out. But you would always take us, and I can always remember when I would get in the car, you'd say, all right, spit out your gum. And to this day, I know never to chew gum around you. Every major milestone in my life you were part of. Following me all the years I read and competed, celebrating every up and down. When I came home from out west climbing in the Rockies, I got off the bus on crutches. You were there with my mom to see me home. Pretty sure that was the year that Trish was getting married, and I went to the wedding on crutches. Leaving for school in Florida, you gave me a beautiful send-off party with all the neighbors. Remember that first New Year's in Florida? I would be starting school the next day. You and Uncle Gord were there with Mom and Dad. Remember Dad fell asleep on the bed, and I think it was Uncle Gord who said, let's paint Ronnie's toes pink. We laughed and we did. And then we pulled up his shirt and we wrote Happy New Year's in lipstick on his stomach. The next day my dad said, do you think it's pretty funny? Well, I'm taking you to school today, and I'm keeping that paint polish on, and I'm wearing sandals. He did. And when my bus pulled out, he pulled up his shirt so I could see Happy New Year's. When I got married, you had a beautiful backyard shower again with all the neighbors and friends. You hosted my bridal party the night before the wedding. You always made me feel so special and so well loved. I remember when I was working and I had to come home on the GO train early because Rory was sick. You met me with my mom at the station and said, we have to find someone. And you did, and Lila came into our lives. You have followed my boys and their families with interest, concern, and love. You always had a word of encouragement when Paul was away working. I well remember the night that his plane could not land in Toronto and was redirected to Detroit. I was in Toronto in the storm. I always knew when I could call you, regardless, any time. I called you at 1 a.m. When I got to your place, I got in bed with you. I left in the morning. I know of no other of my friends or acquaintances that can say or ever begin to fully understand the kind of relationship our family had and the unconditional love that you gave. You have given me such a gift to go through life with, knowing how it feels to be loved deeply and how to give it in return. You were such a good friend to my mom. Going through the things, I think I found every note or card you ever sent. Most always started with, hello friend. Just yesterday I came across a note to Mom with a recipe for Kahlua cake. It was written in hand. I laughed when I read 1 cup of drinkable coffee. I had to think, what is the definition of drinkable? There are really no words to sum up the lifetime of love and memories that you have given me. So many are tucked deep in my heart, but I can always bring them out when I need them. Thank you hardly seems adequate, but I hope you know with all your heart how much you mean to me. You are every good thing that a person should be. You are loved by so many, and I know that all that have their own special memories. Our family won the lottery, having you as a neighbor, friend, and even more, family to us. I will carry all these memories and so much more with me the rest of my life. Your legacy of love will be told and shared with my family. I am so grateful that my boys had you in their lives as well. You are and always will be the most courageous, brave, and generous, loving role model in my life. I will cherish you and carry you with me in the years ahead. Your wisdom, honesty, and love are traits that I admire. My life and those I love will be better by you being part of them. I will always love you and keep your memory close to me. As always, Pam.
I'm doing a glasses trick too, so I hope I can read, but I can't see you, which is probably a good thing. One of the first memories I have of my gran was in the backseat of my grandpa's car, coming home from an outing on a cold winter's night, probably the track. My gran opened her, wait for it, full-length silver mink coat with a gray satin lining, so I could snuggle in and get cozy with her in the backseat. Those feelings of being warm, held tight, thought of, loved, are core memories that became synonymous with being my gran's grandchild. It's my privilege to spend the next few minutes on behalf of our small family, my brothers, Marcus, Anthony, my mom, to recall a bit about her life to you, a life well lived. As many of you know, my gran was born in Weston to old country parents. I didn't know what that meant growing up, but her dad was Scottish and her mom was from Northern England. Her home life wasn't easy. They were poor. Her dad was a terrible alcoholic. But despite that, she recalled a mostly happy childhood surrounded by people who loved her. A key figure during her upbringing was her Granny Popper, the central presence in my gran's life who lived with them on Birch Avenue and brought stability to what was often chaos. My gran spoke often of Granny Popper and their relationship, recalling how she was always there for her, bringing that uncomplicated and unwavering love and support and caregiving that grandparents bring to their grandchildren. Indeed, Granny Popper must have provided the very best model for my gran, who similarly went on to live with us and brought that same central presence and amazing caregiving, grandparent caregiving, to my brothers and I. One of the last conversations I had with my gran was letting her know that she had set the bar high for grandparenting and left a guidebook etched in my heart that I hope one day to be able to follow with my own grandchildren. My gran was from a generation that we won't see again. She would say that's a good thing. Her growing up by necessity was one that fostered an ingenuity and strength. She lived through the Depression, wartime, and a time when doing without meant exactly that. Walking to fetch your water, sifting for discarded coal pieces that could be used again, walking the Humber River with her siblings in search of driftwood they could use for kindling to light the fire in the house, only ever having an outhouse, and sleeping in a bed for the first time the night before she was married. It was a couch in the living room on Birch Avenue shared with her sister June until that point. These life experiences were the school of hard knocks, as May would have said, taught survival that easily could have translated into a toughness, an edge, or an addiction. But in my gran, it did not. My grand never complained or looked back at that time with distaste. She was truly happy with her lot. Her beginnings cultivated common sense, an industrious sensibility, and an inner fortitude that we all admired. That pluck, sensibility, and common sense were on display throughout her entire life and present even in arranging and accounting for her death. In childhood, her father famously was absent without leave from the army during the war, and being AWOL meant that your family didn't receive their pay packet. So she made up her mind. The next time the military police came looking for him, she was going to turn him in. She was only 12 when she led the military police to the Yates's garage down the road, his hiding spot when he was on the lam, and watched as he was taken off, meaning her mom got money to feed the family. He ended up in jail in Petawawa. And on the next visitor's day, she was surprised to find that she was being bundled on the train with her mom to go and see her dad at visitor's day with a pack of oranges that she said she remembers sweating up as she was holding them. So again, when she arrived at Petawawa, her dad wouldn't let her speak to her. So it was my grand, age 12, who ever practically said to him, look, you're my pa, I'm your daughter, so we're going to have to straighten this away before you come home. At 17, she borrowed $500 for the down payment on a house a bit further down the road that she knew she could afford, owing to how good she was at piecework at the Kodak, and could improve and make some money. My grandfather, whom she recently met, did the work and was anxious at that point to get married. My gran refused until the house was livable, and crucially, they had 3 rooms of furniture, that bed that she longed for. When the last piece of furniture was bought, they were married soon after. In middle age, sensibility again, I remember being in the car with her when I was about 12 en route to the old Greenwood racetrack in the East End. She had a book of bets, a stack of money to lay down on a race, and there was an accident on the Gardner. The resulting traffic holdup would have made her late, miss the race. And I remember this so vividly. She laid on the horn and in the bench seat, backed up, reversed up the on-ramp so she could change tack and take the lakeshore instead. We made the bet, and we made the race, and no bets were shirked. In her senior years, my gran traveled a lot, often with her family. When she lived in Boston with Jack, we all went back and forth, and of course, there were many trips with Anthony in and around, to and from Florida, with adventures along the way. Trips to Meaford to visit Marcus and have a look at the latest thing he was tinkering with in the garage. And with me, trips all around Europe when we lived in the UK. On one of these trips, we went to Amsterdam, and she hit the jackpot at the casino. I don't need to say, not a surprise to anyone at the casino. I don't remember exactly how it came up, but she somehow let me know she was unimpressed that I didn't have a proper bra. So with the winnings, we went off to a fancy lingerie store that someone at the hotel recommended to her when she was getting a coffee in the morning. We arrived at this store and very soon clued into the fact that the shop catered to the red light district set in Amsterdam. No bother, she remarked unfazed, those women no underwear. My gran sometimes lamented that she wished she'd gone further in school. She left at 15 to work to contribute to the household. That her diction and vocabulary weren't advanced like others. I told her last week that perspective was ironic to me because so many people over the years, and especially recently, remarked how wonderful her letter writing are and how they lifted her and they lifted people and took them through tough times. And she let me in on her simple secret. I simply write what I know. As before, my gran knew fun, she knew hardship, she knew family, she knew acts of service, and she also knew sadness. The death of her daughter Colleen changed my gran forever. Chloe's death brought about a crisis of faith for her. Changes on Blackheath Boulevard and the relationships within it that charted a new path for all of us. But crucially, I believe it brought about an even stronger resolve in her to hold those you love tight, not waste time, and always let people know that you love them, or that their hair's too long. In keeping with that hard-earned philosophy, my gran left with not much unsaid. This was a gift always, but especially at the end of her life. We were all able to have special times with her last week. Thank you to Pam, Paul, and Aunt Kathleen for coming to see her. She made it clear to all of us that she had no regrets. She told us, "We've said what needed to be said. I know I was loved and I loved. And I'm happy leaving knowing that I've done my best." She asked us all to be kind to one another and to try and leave the world a bit better than when we found it. My gran admitted that she wasn't sure what was beyond this life, but if it was nothing, ashes to ashes, as she said, she was content. Rest in sweet peace, Granny. We love you always.
May the road rise to meet you, may the wind be always at your back, may the sun shine more upon your face, may the rains fall softly upon your fields, until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes this evening's service. On behalf of the Mays family, thank you everyone for joining us here today. All are invited back to Maurice's house at 290 Dury Street. If anybody needs some instructions, please see myself or one of the other staff. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe. And just one more announcement, ladies and gentlemen. For anyone joining the family at the reception at the family house, you're more than welcome if you've brought your vehicles to the funeral home, just to leave them here for that time spent with the family. Thank you very much.